Hey everybody, this is video number 2 of our ceramic tile design. So you should have, at this point, have rolled a slab with an even thickness through that slab and allowed that slab to get to the leather hard stage. So this slab is way too soft. We got to let that set up. We don't want it to lose its shape like that, and to start carving at this stage would be a disaster. So we want to get our clay leather hard. So it's stiff, but it's still dark in color and ready to work on. We've also created some carving tools out of bobby pins and pens. Just putting some glue down inside the end of that pen and gluing those bobby pins into place. I also have a toothpick here that might be of help. A while ago I cut up this comb to use this part of the comb as a scoring tool for clay, but I'm not going to have to score anything for this piece that we're working on, but I really like the end of that handle, so I've kept hold of that. I also have this little piece of a gift card that I cut up that might be good for smoothing out surfaces as well. And if you don't have a sponge, I just have a makeup applicator sponge that I'll probably use as well. So what we're going to do for our carved tile today with this video is, first of all, we need to ensure that our clay is at the leather hard stage, so that's this stiff stage. Then we need to transfer the image to the clay and then just simply start carving the clay. So to start with, here's my nice tile ready to go. And again, the image that we had printed off the computer. Now I'm actually just going to use one of these pens and start to trace over my image. Now if I push too hard, I'll probably rip through the paper, which really isn't that big of a deal. But I'm just going to press hard enough to create an indentation into the clay and just trace over my entire image. There's a lot of detail right here. I'm going to just keep that simple and just kind of outline that, but I'm not going to add all those little details just yet anyway. Trace the top of the head, the beak, and so on. So it'll take me some time, but I'll go ahead and trace that whole thing. But you can see, as I have been tracing that, it's created an indentation into the clay. Now I have this other piece that I've been working with, and I've actually already started to carve it. When I transferred this one, you can see a lot of that newspaper, or not newspaper, but the paper from the printout stuck to the clay, but that's okay. Don't worry about that if that happens to yours. Just go ahead and once that dries, that'll just kind of flake right off. But you can see I've started to carve some of this away. This I've just began carving, and I've just used my small little loop tool that I made to start carving with. But I can start on one of these larger areas with this bigger loop tool. And I want to carve down about halfway into the thickness of the clay. Now I've added a border to mine, as you can see. I really quite like having a border on my tile. I think it just looks better. So I'm just going to continue this carving process. This area I've been carving for a little while. So now I'm just going to try to refine my carving a little bit. Try to clean things up just a bit. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth in there. A little bit of texture is just fine. As I get to the smaller area, I'm going to use my smaller loop tool. But if my clay is about a ½ inch thick, I can carve down about a ¼ inch. It'll be just fine. Now I'm going to take some water, and with my makeup applicator, just going to try to smooth that out just a little bit. Kind of clean up some edges. I can also use my little gift card to smooth some things out as well. Okay, so we'll continue that process. That's going to take some time, kind of just going back and forth, carving and smoothing and carving and smoothing until we have a really kind of nice three-dimensional feel. Then once I do a lot of carving, I want to come back in here and start adding some detail. So as I look at my image, I can see that there's a lot of little details here that I don't want to carve all the way through, but I just want to draw them into my clay and just allow that raised edge of the clay to stay there and add texture. And once you glaze your tile, you'll be able to see that texture even a little bit nicer. As I get to the feathers at the bottom of the bird here, or in the wing of the bird, I'm going to carve just a light little line and try to keep a raised edge in between each of those feathers so that I can maintain the detail of those feathers. And again, once I glaze that and the glaze puddles down into these parts of the carved out parts of the feather, it'll be a little darker than the parts that are raised. So now it's just a matter of continuing to carve my design. I'll have to get into some detail in the eye that's really fine detail, so maybe I'll use a toothpick to do some carving instead of my loop tool, because I need something even smaller. But again, don't start carving until your clay is leather hard, or it's really going to be messy for you. All right, that's demo number 2. Hopefully that's enough to get you finished with this. I'll add a time-lapse video just to show some of the work that I've been doing on my tile here as well. Good luck.